Welcome to another episode of Municipal Focus. I will be your host today, Kevin Tocci, for the next 30 minutes. This show, we try to talk about things that are going on in the communities that we serve, whether it's in Whitman or Hanson. It could be past couple episodes. My co-host, Bob Hayes, has done segments out on the road in regards to what's going on in Hanson and the Camp Kiwanee situation. Well, today we're back in studio and we're talking with candidates. Today's candidate, we are speaking with a young lady who was fresh off of a run for state senate. She is now running for Congress in the Massachusetts 9th District. And we have Anna Grace Raduc, who's joining us. Anna?
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to Municipal Focus. For folks who don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a Massachusetts native. I grew up in Halifax. My background, I studied business management at University of Phoenix, and I also studied English literature at Bridgewater State University. I also have a background in social work. I worked at a women and children's homeless shelter for a number of years part-time. I also worked with MH, high-functioning MH clients. I assisted them with their daily living skills. And I moved up to management of 6 homes and 8 employees, 6 homes of high-functioning MR and autistic clients. And so my background is really social work.
What is it about politics that you like? What is it that has lured you to run for office? Not once, but this is your second time. What is it about public office that gets you involved or has gotten you involved?
Well, I got involved in politics somewhat reluctantly, but to put myself on the radar because I'm a victim of white-collar crime, in particular life insurance fraud. I've become aware that this has been happening on a larger scale than is talked about in the media. And in my case, I learned that I was a victim of financial trafficking and that somebody wanted me to collect money on my ex-husband's life. And I said no. It was very difficult because I was highly intimidated by organized crime. But I did say no, and I did report it to local, state, federal authorities. I went to the marshals and I said, could I have a new ID? Because I was told by the FBI that they would assist with that, but they told me that my situation is outside of the scope of what they usually deal with, and that they don't have a program or something to help people like me. So I went back and I said, well, I created a program to help people like me, a new ID program where people could apply for a new ID through their local police, and they would be able to live in their hometown with their family and friends. So it would be very revolutionary in that aspect. I've gotten a lot of good responses by different levels of law enforcement. So there's that, but I also came up with some ideas to strengthen the Federal Immigration Office with a new educational kiosk that would educate Americans and foreigners as to what human trafficking is. Mm-hmm. A lot of foreigners are brought here for illicit purposes. They are victims, but Americans are often victims of green card fraud. And so I thought there could be an educational kiosk. It's very, very low cost, just $3,000 a kiosk, and there's like one office in every state except for California and Hawaii. And I thought that this kiosk would save lives, and I also came up with a new idea that there could be a 40-hour interview process because the federal immigration officers are actually not mandated to give interviews, so anyone could go through there and they could even be drugged or intimidated or threatened. And I think there should be this third-party interview process with somebody who's certified in looking for the signs of trafficking. There are IEUs, or adult extension classes, whereby someone could be certified in this process. So I was thinking maybe psychologists or clergy. Clergy could learn about how to be certified, and they'd be certified and they'd be able to help people, vulnerable people passing through the immigration office. A lot of people think of the Mexican border as being a weak point into this country, but we don't often think that the Federal Immigration Office is also a point of vulnerability. And so I did go to my representatives. I went to their local offices. I called many times because it was suggested that I did do that because there's a lot of issues, a lot of lobbyists, so it can be really hard getting your voice through all that. I did go to DC twice on my own dime just to promote these ideas. I feel a civic responsibility and duty to help others so that they don't fall victim like I did to these crimes that a lot of people are not aware of. And so in doing that, I really didn't get the response that I was looking for.
What kind of a response did you get? Did you kind of, because I think that can be annoying to somebody who goes to seek assistance, and I've seen it on many different levels. It doesn't matter whether it's on a political level where you go to office, or if you go in somewhere looking for something and you kind of, yeah, we'll get back to you. Did you get something like that where it was kind of like, you may have had information they took and like, yeah, we'll get back to you? How were you greeted, and how did you feel when you went to those offices?
Well, it was highly frustrating, but I felt that my job in going there as a concerned citizen was to be as diplomatic as I possibly could. But under the circumstances, it didn't feel so good to be turned away or not to get any response at all. I was also told that it would take 15 years to pass these ideas into law, and I wasn't given information about different offices I could go, like the Judiciary Committee, Democratic and Republican, and I did go to those last time I went in March, and I discovered on my own I could go those routes. When I did go to, I don't know if I should say, but my opponent's office, I was told that, look, President Obama can't even get rid of Gitmo. How do you expect us to pass these into law? Well, Gitmo is closing, and I think that what I see is that a lot of politicians are in office a very long time, and we have career politicians, and that's good because they acquire a lot of knowledge and information about the area, but at the same time they do, I believe, narrow their focus to the point where they may come to a point where they assist those they feel would benefit them, or that they feel like maybe after a while they
You take the safe route. Are you trying to say that maybe they're careful and they handpick the issues?
Yes.
Where it's not like it's something that it doesn't take as much work. Is that what you're saying?
It could be a mix of that, but also it could have to do with contribution money, as well as pressures that they feel after a long time. And these are kind of the issues that go along with no term limits. And so I had heard that, and I don't know if I should say, but I had heard that my opponent also disagrees with some fishermen down in Cape Cod and hasn't met with them for a very long time. I think it's really important to meet with constituents, even if you know time and time again you may not agree, even if the feedback is negative, to really be keeping those lines of communication open and the feedback open, and to make a good relationship with the community, even if people don't see eye to eye, or maybe the politician feels that they can't go forward.
Sure.
It's not just enough to say one thing or stonewall or keep silent. I think it's important to keep a good relationship.
So let's say you're successful. Now, November 8th is the general election, and it's going to be a big year because it's a presidential ballot. So people are going to be flocking to the polls to first and top of the ticket, who do you want to be your next president, whether it's going to be Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, or Gary Johnson, Jill Stein, and you keep going further down ticket. You have a congressional race that you're a part of, And I want to say that it's multi-pronged. It isn't just you, the incumbent, but I want to say that there's a Republican, and then you're running as an independent. And I want to say that there's even another individual who's running. It's quite the race. But you're going to be on the ballot, right?
Yes.
Okay. Talk to me about the process to get on the ballot. What was it like to get? Because it's not an easy process. What was it like?
No, it wasn't. Actually, I've learned that a lot of the politicians, they pay for their signatures. It was a little bit outside of my budget. But also, since I'm a new politician, I thought it was necessary to meet with people. So I did get 2,443 signatures,
Wow.
primarily on my own. But I did have a little help from some church friends and a high school friend who helped me, which was very nice because it was 100 degrees out. And it was quite a task. But I basically stood outside of stores and met with different people in the area, and a lot of people thought the issues that I was working on, that it was good. A lot of people thanked me for taking on such a difficult issue, and I really felt like it was a very good process, and I enjoyed meeting people in the community. I like meeting people, and I really feel like that was the best part for me. I don't know if I had told you this before, but in high school and junior high, I sold the most candy bars. So one of the things I just really liked was knocking on doors and kind of saying hi to people I didn't know. I don't know why, but it's nice to get to know people. And the great thing about meeting people is that I met a cross-section of people that I don't usually talk to. So there's just so many different types of people out there. And I think in a small town, people just kind of, they live in little pockets. And so, I met people who work in the farming community, people who are teachers and very much into teaching, schools funding, and the Common Core problem or issue that's going on. And I met so many different types of people, and it was just really great. I liked it.
I think what's important as a candidate, if you're getting out there, is not so much telling individuals that you meet what your platform is, but also listening to them while you're out there and greeting these folks. What were some of the things that you heard that while they're telling you that they like your platform in regards to immigration and the kiosk and stuff like that, what were some of the things that you were getting for return feedback?
Return feedback?
What some of the things they were saying to you that because the race you're in, there's so many, you're talking a federal race, there's so many issues other than immigration, other than jobs in the district. We're talking is you've got foreign issues, domestic issues that we're dealing with, whether it's environmental, stuff like that. There's so many things when you're running in a race like yours that I'm sure that somebody had something that they wanted to share with you.
Well, I heard a lot of positive feedback about the financial trafficking issues that I talked about with people, but outside of that, I heard a lot of people were concerned about Second Amendment rights.
Guns.
There are a lot of hunters in the area. This is a rural area.
Sure.
And so in that, I support the Second Amendment.
Do you feel that we need more gun laws? Because that's the thing that's the big, on all levels. Myself, when I'm not here in front of the cameras dazzling the residents of the two communities we serve, I do stuff at another medium, and hearing the conversations that go on local radio about issues and local politicians, guns, I think, are the gun issue and people being affected by people who have mental issues or people who want to take out a large number of people with a weapon is kind of a growing concern for people. Where do you stand on gun control? Do we need more laws? Do we need more regulation?
Well, I would say that we don't, and the reason why is anyone could illegally obtain a firearm just as well as they could legally obtain a firearm. And I think that what will happen is that if we were to take, eventually erode our rights to own a gun, there would be individuals in organized crime who would try to have a black market. And I think that it would just be more of the same. At least the way things are, your average American citizen can defend their home. They can go hunting if they choose to own a firearm. I've never owned a firearm, and I don't think I ever would, but I do think it's an important thing because one of the reasons why we have that right is because in England, as a lot of people know, there was a king there who shot Puritans for believing in their Protestant religion, so they moved here to Plymouth. And so I feel that taking away people's gun rights is a form of elitism. And I think there's a lot of lobbyists and people who wish to take away people's guns, and they would do anything to take away that right. And it's just something I personally don't agree with any restrictions, and that does make me very different from people who are running for office and people who are in office right now in Massachusetts.
Let me ask you this, again, the big race is for president.
Yes.
How closely are you following that race? Is there a particular candidate that you feel could help your cause? Have you thought about who you're going to support for next president, or is that something you're keeping close to, close in hand?
It's not that I keep it close to hand. I just feel that what's out there is just so different, and I'm not sure I agree with either of the main parties right now.
Okay.
Just because the stances are so extreme, and I mean, there are some things I agree with, but then there's some things I don't, like the different approaches. I feel like there's a lot of mudslinging right now, and I don't like that. It's just not something I agree with, and sometimes I feel like I look back at Bernie, and even though I don't really believe in everything he stood for, I think what a calm and gentle person. He was very good with people, and he didn't insult people.
Do you feel that the country will miss out on a chance to have him be a part of this race to the general election? That he should have had a chance to be the next president?
I think it was a lot of people were disappointed that day. A lot of young people.
That he kind of just threw in the towel, decided to team up with Hillary and make it a united party, so to speak.
Yeah, and I think you're going to find a lot of people are going to write in his name, even though he's not a write-in. But I guess with both parties right now, there's Hillary with the email situation, and that's a difficult one because I am very pro-military, pro-vet, pro-police, and it feels like something had happened and it's not altogether very clear. But then there's also, with Trump, there's the issue, Alicia Machado, that for me was really hard for me to know about and hear about, and certain things like that. I mean, I know there's a lot of showmanship, but other than that, they both have really good qualities too. They both have, like Hillary Clinton, I read a little bit of her book. She's been all over the world as Secretary of State, and her latest book, which I forgot the name of, she has tons of pictures in it, and she's really served this country in an amazing way. She really, in fact, I met a Chinese journalist who, because I actually met Hillary Clinton, and she told me that Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton are really so popular internationally and have really improved the reputation of America. And then Trump, I think that he really addresses a lot of issues that I'm concerned about.
The immigration?
Like immigration, gun control, and so he's very appealing to me also. So it's kind of a...
Would you be for the wall? Would you be for building a wall?
You know, I am not sure. I mean, I heard someone say that, you know, be careful when you build a wall because that wall could keep you in.
Mm.
Another thing is that another person had told me, well, this could be a great economic boost. It could create a lot of jobs, and that's true. And he said, and then when it's up, you could always tear it down, kind of like the wall in Berlin.
Oh, right.
But, you know, it's a little bit difficult because there is an immigration problem. And for me, I spent some time in San Diego. I lived in San Diego for a while, and I have family there. And so I got to know.
The zoo is.
Yeah, I know. You've been there.
I have.
That's right.
Yes.
Well, there's a lot of Mexicans there, and I feel that I got to know a little bit of the Mexican community, and a lot of the people who are here who are undocumented are really just migrant farm workers. And so I do feel like they're unfairly picked on because, you know, in a way there's a system kind of set up where the farmers are wanting to pay them a low wage, and they're kind of, a lot of them have...
They're exploited? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
They're exploited because of what they can do for that particular industry?
Yes, and in a way some of them are trafficked too, and they're victims really, because they're so poor. And so I just have a problem with picking on poor people. It's just, but there's also some really bad guys out there too. I mean, I lived in Nebraska for a while, and there was a girl there who was murdered by a Mexican migrant who had, I think he had a criminal history. She was murdered in a mall parking lot. So these things do happen, but there's all different races participate in crime, not just Mexican. And
Right.
This is not going to be very popular for me to say, maybe, but you know, I got to know Mexicans, and I liked them. I really did. In fact, if you go there, they have music that is actually rooted in Czechoslovakian and German music, and a good number of them are actually German.
Okay. Let's talk, while we're talking about the whole issue with foreign affairs, and you look at the one thing that we worry about, and I think the reason why the immigration issue looms so large is because we have such a big problem when it comes to terrorism. And there is a particular sect in the Middle Eastern countries, ISIS, that wants to attack the freer countries in the world, and try to reign over them as far as terror goes. We've seen attacks, whether it's in France, Belgium. We've seen attacks on our own soil here, where ISIS has taken credit. Give me your thoughts on, what type of legislation or what types of votes would you take if you're successful in regards to putting forth a plan to eradicate, our society of this group of terrorists who have kind of taken over for the Osama bin Laden and his group.
As you may know, CIA Director John Brennan had said that a lot of the Syrian migrants pose a danger because ISIS is working through them. And it makes me think that with the Mexican immigration problem, as well as the influx of Syrians, we have people who are poor here at home. There's people in Appalachia and the middle area of the United States, and we also have a large black population that is having serious problems with the police. And the first thing that they see when they see the American government, they see the police. But really, I feel that they're acting out because there aren't enough jobs for them, as well as the African American community, as well as, I traveled all over the United States, and I most recently went to DC. I drove there, and right outside of DC, there are projects for black people, and there are housing areas for black people that are crumbling, and they don't even have a sidewalk to walk on. There's actually bricks jutting out and dust everywhere. It's horrible. And then I saw the African American community, the poor community there, kind of just sandwiched on the porch. And how can you even get out of your porch if you have all these blocks everywhere? So I feel that no one's really paying attention to the problems here at home, and we're bringing all these people here. And I had heard that Mexican workers, the illegal ones that are here, if they left, that would free up 5 million jobs for African Americans. Around the time of the Civil War, there were 4 million African American slaves. That just shows you how many jobs are not available to African Americans right now, because they don't want to pay a full wage. So another thing is, we have a lot of Syrians coming here, but there's no way to really interview them to see if they have a criminal history or any connection to ISIS. So I feel like we need to really hold off, and I do remember Ben Carson, the former vice president.
Dr. Ben Carson.
Dr. Ben Carson. He did go to Jordan. He spoke to Jordanian officials who said there's plenty of room for Syrians. So I'm not really sure why they're placing them in the areas that they are. It does seem to me that this has been done under the radar.
It's troubling.
And it actually is outside of congressional oversight, and it should be. The federal government should be involved. And so I would probably speak against bringing people in. I have a big heart for people, I really do, but I feel that we need to address the situation here, more jobs for working class Americans, black and white.
We got less than 2 minutes left.
Okay, thank you.
That gives you about a minute to look into that camera and tell folks why on November 8th they should check your name off for Congress for the 9th Massachusetts Congressional District.
Thank you. I hope that you'll vote for me November 8th, 2016. I'm a low-budget politician. I have not accepted any dark money or corporate money. This makes me a person who would be less likely to cave to pressure, and I would always do the right thing. What the right thing is always subjective, but I would always follow the golden rule and a moral code, and I would always give my constituent the time that they need to let me know about the issues. I wouldn't keep somebody out of the office or outside of the possibility of meeting with me directly. I do want to be very much involved in the community, and I was thinking also that, recently I was at some farmers markets, and one of the reasons why I was campaigning there is because I also support GMO labeling and meat source country of origin labeling, which many congressional candidates and people in Congress, they do not support. So that just gives you an idea or window into the type of person that I am, and I hope that you'll vote for me. Thank you so much.
Anna, thank you so much, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Come on November 8th, and you know what, it's up to you as the voters to get an idea as to who the candidates are that are running for office and make a difference. Your vote does count. You've been watching Municipal Focus, and until next time, have a great day.